You're tuned to Arrow FM, your local community access radio station. The time now is 8 o'clock. Time for another hour of the great music that came out in the 1960s with the 60s Nostalgia Show. The 60s Nostalgia Show is kindly sponsored by Cotter and Stevens, the electrical contractors down in Jellicoe Street in Martinborough. Cotter and Stevens have been in the Wairarapa for many decades, supplying quality work both private and commercial, and also they're experts around the dairy shed. They are experts around dairy plant because they're the De Laval agents in Wairarapa, and they know a few things about the old effluents. Just playing in the background at the moment, we've got Peter Poser playing a Mona Lisa as a little tribute to the New Zealand guitarist who passed away during the week. Peter Poser was born on the 8th of August in 1941 and died on the 3rd of February this year. Most famous probably for his instrumental The White Rabbit, but he was certainly part of the New Zealand music scene for a long time, and he was a Westie. He was born in the west of Auckland. That might be the best way of describing it. His parents actually had a vineyard in the Henderson Valley, and he was brought up out west just the same as what I was. And one of the little known facts about Peter Poser was he was the guy who discovered the chicks. The chicks lived 2 or 3 doors down the road from him, and he was outside one day practicing his guitar, and the chicks plucked up enough courage to go in and ask for his autograph, which he obliged on the basis that they sang a song for him, and that they did, and he thought they were so good that they should get a record contract. So that's how the Chicks got established. Like a lot of families in those vineyards west of Auckland, in the Henderson Valley, and also where I was brought up, Kumu and Huapai, were of Dalmatian descent, and they had come out to New Zealand at various times. A lot of them came out actually to dig up kauri gum from kauri trees that have fallen over and ended up in the mud, and my grandfather and his father had a lot to do with the Dalmatian gum diggers in the last part of the 19th and early part of the 20th century, and Dalmatian people from Dalmatia and also Croatia, lovely race of people. So he was of Dalmatian descent. Peter Poser actually was appointed a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit for services to entertainment in, I'm not quite sure when it was. I think it was about 2008 or 2008. So Peter Poser, we might play another Peter Poser track during the program. But first up, we've got Lulu, and She's a Tiger.
I'm a tiger, 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 I'm a tiger. I look like a little girl living in a big
Lulu there, and I'm a tiger. Right, well, got a few milestones to celebrate this week. Normally, I just pick the date that the Friday I'm doing the shows on, but I had a sneak look at tomorrow as well, and tomorrow is quite a momentous day as well. So we might do the 8th and then the 9th of February. So on the 8th of February, born this day in 1946, was a guy called Paul Wheatbread, and you wouldn't have heard that name because I hadn't, and I looked him up, and he was the drummer with Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, and when the band disbanded in 1970, he turned a concert promoter. I also just noticed that Gary Puckett and the Union Gap are touring at the moment, but they're starting on a tour of an oldies show on the 29th of May, and that tour, believe it or not, is on every night between the end of May and the end of August, and Gary Puckett and the Union Gap are touring with the Turtles, the Buckinghams, the Classic Four and the Councils, so that would be quite a good show to go and see. But here's one of the more popular Gary Puckett songs.
Young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is way out of line. Better run, girl. You're much too young, girl. With all the charms of a woman, you've kept the secret of your youth. You led me to believe you're old enough to give me love, and now it hurts to know the truth. Whoa, young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is way out of line. Better run, girl. You're much too young, girl. Beneath your perfume and makeup, you're just a baby in disguise. And though you know that it's wrong to be alone with me, that come on look is in your eyes. Whoa, young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is way out of line. Better run, girl. You're much too young, girl. So hurry home to your mama. I'm sure she wonders where you are. Get out of here before I have the time to change my mind, 'cause I'm afraid we'll go too far. Whoa, young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is way out of line. Better run, girl. You're much too young, girl. Young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is way out of line. Better run.
Gary Puckett and the Union Gap there, and a young girl. Just looking at some of the milestones on this day in 1964, on the first day In New York, the Beatles, minus George, who had a sore throat, are photographed in Central Park. Extra police were called in to keep the fans away. Later in the day, the Ronettes interview the group for radio station WYNS. In 1973, Max Yasgur, who was the owner of the dairy farm where Woodstock was held, died aged 53 of a heart attack. And in 1990, on this day, suffering from depression, American singer-songwriter Del Shannon dies of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Shannon, whose real name was Charles Westover, had a hit on both sides of the Atlantic, a number one hit in 1961 with Runaway, plus 9 other US and 12 other UK singles, and had been rumoured that he was to join the Travelling Wilburys after Roy Orbison's death in 1988. And Del Shannon was very, very popular in the UK, hence the fact he had more number ones over there than in the US. And in 2002, Bob Waller, who was the resident DJ and booker at the Cavern Club in Liverpool during the early 1960s when the Beatles appeared there almost 300 times. He died at the age of 76. So let's look back to that big hit that Del Shannon had.
As I walk along, I wonder what went wrong with our love, a love that was so strong. And as I still walk on, I think of the things we've done together while our hearts were young. I'm a walking in the rain, tears are falling and I feel a pain, wishing you were here by me to end this misery. And I wonder, I wonder why she ran away. And I wonder where she will stay, my little runaway. Run, 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 run away. I'm a walking in the rain, tears are falling and I feel a pain, wishing you were here by me to end this misery. And I wonder, I wonder why she ran away. And I wonder where she will stay, my little runaway. Run, 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 run away. Run, 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 run away. Kind of a drag when your baby don't love you. Kind of a drag when you know she's been untrue. Oh, listen to what I've got to say. Girl, I still love you. I'll always love you. Anyway, wanna cry. Oh, girl, even though you made me feel good, I still love you. I'll always love you. Anyway, anyway.
The Buckinghams there, and it's kind of a drag. Righto, we'll have another Del Shannon song.
Once I had a pretty girl, her name it doesn't matter. She went away with another guy, now he won't even look at her. Hats off to Larry, he broke your heart, just like you broke mine when you said we was part. He told you lies, now it's your turn to cry, cry, cry. Now that Larry said goodbye to you, I know this may sound strange, I want you back, I think you'll change, but there's one more thing I gotta say. Hats off to Larry, it may sound cruel, but you laughed at me when you said we were through. You told me lies, now it's your turn to cry, cry, cry. Now that Larry said goodbye to you. Hats off to Larry, it may sound cruel, but you laughed at me when you said we were through. You told me lies, so it's your turn to cry, cry, cry. Now that Larry said goodbye to you, to you, to you. Look through any window, yeah. What do you see? Smiling faces all around, rushing through the busy town. Where do they go? Moving on their way, walking down the highways and the byways. Where do they go? Moving on their way, people with their shy ways and their sly ways. Oh, you can see the little children around. Oh, you can see the little ladies in their gowns. When you look through any window, yeah, any time of day, see the drivers on the roads, putting down their heavy loads. Where do they go? Moving on their way, driving down the highways and the byways. Where do they go? Moving on their way, drivers with their shy ways and their sly ways. Oh, you can see the little children all around. Oh, you can see the little ladies in their gowns. When you look through any window, yeah, what do you see? Smiling faces all around, rushing through
The Hollies there, and a look through any window, bringing the time to 22 minutes after 8 o'clock here on Arrow FM, and you're listening to the 60s Nostalgia Show, which is kindly sponsored by Cotter and Stevens, the electrical contractors down in Jellicoe Street in Martinborough. Right, let's have a look at a few milestones that will be happening tomorrow, the 9th of February, and on that day in 1940, so he'll turn 79 tomorrow. Brian Bennett, the drummer of the Shadows, was born, and he joined the Shadows when the founding drummer Tony Meehan left, and Brian Bennett was a long time a drummer with the Shadows, wrote a lot of their songs, and was made a member of the Order of the British Empire in 2004. He is still alive, quite active in a lot of things, including composing, but he runs a home recording studio in Hertfordshire, I think it is, in the UK just at the moment. Also on this day tomorrow, so the 9th of February, in 1961, the Beatles made their lunchtime debut at the Cavern Club in Liverpool. They would go on to make almost 300 further appearances at the club. Most of these milestones actually revolve around the Beatles, funnily enough. On the 9th of February in 1964, they made their US TV debut on the Ed Sullivan Show, performing 5 songs, including the current American chart topper, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Over 50,000 applications were received for the available 728 seats in the TV studio, and an estimated 73 million people across the states watched the show. One of those people who actually did get into that final number was Davy Jones from the Monkees, and it was reputed that when the show was being broadcast, no crime was committed in the United States, which I find very difficult to believe. And this day tomorrow, so 9th of February 1972, Paul McCartney's new band Wings play a lunchtime show at Nottingham University, the first date of a UK college tour. Over the next fortnight, Wings arrive unannounced at 10 UK colleges and ask social secretaries if they would like them to perform that evening, and admission was 40p. So just imagine you're rocking up to this concert, not quite sure what this band called Wings is all about, and Paul McCartney comes up on stage. And in 1982, George Harrison presented UNICEF with a cheque for $9 million over 10 years after the fundraising concert for Bangladesh. So let's have the Beatles and one of the songs they sang for old Ed.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand when I say that something. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. Oh, please say to me, let me be your man. And please say to me, you let me hold your hand. Now let me hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. And when I touch you, I feel happy inside. It's such a feeling that my love I can hide, I can hide, I can hide. I think you'll understand when I say that something's. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. And when I touch you, I feel happy inside. It's such a feeling that my love I can hide, I can hide, I can hide. Yeah, you got that something. I think you'll understand when I feel that something. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand.
The Beatles here, and I want to hold your hand. Another milestone today not today, tomorrow. Gets confusing, doesn't it? On the 9th of February in 1942, Carole King, the singer, songwriter, was born, and Carole King, one of the great songwriters of all time, I suppose, but particularly of the 1960s, and carried on by herself, and was very popular until she retired just a couple of years ago. I've picked a Carole King track. She didn't have many hits in the 1960s. In fact, probably the only hit she had was that song, It Might As Well Rain, until September, because Carole King was not confident about her singing voice, and how that changed when she put out that magic album in 1970 called Tapestry. However, what she did was record a lot of demo records, which songwriters used to do. They used to write the song and then record it, and take the recording around various labels and hopefully flog it off. So this is from an interesting CD called Brill Building Sessions and More, and features a lot of Jerry Goff and Carole King's song, including this one, which was a big hit for the Drifters.
Up on the roof, up on the roof. When this old world starts getting beat down, and people are just too much for me to face. Up on the roof, I climb way up to the top of the stairs, and all my cares are straight right into
If you see me walking down the street and I start to cry each time we meet, walk on by, walk on by. Make believe that you don't see the tears, just let me grieve in private, 'cause each time I see you, I break down and cry. Walk on by, don't stop. Walk on by, don't stop. Walk on by. I just can't get over losing you, and so if I seem broken and blue, walk on by, walk on by. Foolish pride, that's all that I have left. So let me hide the tears and the sadness you gave me when you said goodbye. Oh, walk on by, don't stop. Walk on by, don't stop. Walk on by, don't stop. Walk on. Walk on by, walk on by. Foolish pride, that's all that I have left. So let me hide the tears and the sadness you gave me when you said goodbye. Walk on by, don't stop. Walk on by, don't stop. Now you really gotta go, so walk on by. Don't stop. Baby, leave you never see the tears I cry. Don't stop. Now you really gotta go, so walk on by. Don't stop. Baby, leave you never see the tears I cry. Don't stop. Now you really gotta go, so walk on by.
Dion Warwick there, and Walk On By, bringing the time to coming up 23 minutes to 9 o'clock here on Arrow FM, your local community access radio station, and you're listening to the 60s Nostalgia Show, which is kindly sponsored by Cotter and Stevens, the electrical contractors down in Martinborough. Right, let's have a track from Peter Poser. This is probably the biggest hit that he had, the song called The White Rabbit, and then we'll have a track from the feature album.
You make me dizzy, Miss Lizzie, the way you rock and roll. You make me dizzy, Miss Lizzie, when you do the stroll. Come on, Miss Lizzie, love me before I grow too old. Come on, give me fever, put your little hand in mine. You make me dizzy, dizzy, Lizzie. Oh, girl, you look so fine. Just a rocking and a rolling. Girl, I said I wish you were mine. You make me dizzy, Miss Lizzie, when you call my name. Ooh, baby, say you're driving me insane. Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby. I wanna be your loving man. Run and tell your mama, I want you to be my bride. Run and tell your brother, baby, don't run and hide. You make me dizzy, Miss Lizzie. Girl, I wanna marry you. Come on, give me fever. Put your little hand in mine, girl. You make me dizzy, dizzy, Lizzie. Girl, you look so fine. You're just a rocking and a rolling. Woo, I said I wish you were mine.
The Beatles there and the Larry Williams song Dizzy Miss Lizzie, and that's from an album they released in the States and also Canada called Beatles 6, and like a lot of things with the Beatles and their records, they're a bit of a schmozzle. The American releases invariably were different to the UK releases, even though Capitol Records in the States was owned by EMI. But on this particular record, which was put out in July 1965, it included various songs that were on singles or other LPs, and was the seventh Capitol release in the States in 18 months. And of course, in that 18 months, there were two other releases by VJ Records. So Dizzy Miss Lizzie, if I remember rightly, was not on Beatles for Sale. It was on the soundtrack, or the other side of the soundtrack to the movie Help. But a lot of songs on this track, on this LP, were actually released on the album Beatles for Sale. Believe it or not, the Beatles 6 was also released in New Zealand in stereo in time for Christmas in 1966, which is where the LP I'm playing at the moment popped up. And so There's about 6 tracks from the Beatles for sale. There's a few other bits and pieces, so a bit of a strange thing. So if you're a Beatles tragic like I am, if you wanted a complete set of Beatles albums, what you have to do is get the box set of the UK albums and then get the box set of the American ones. And believe it or not, you can actually do that through Amazon, and also I have seen it over at JB Hi-Fi in Palmerston North, and I think it's $200 or $300 for the Capitol records that were released in the States. Here's the cover, and as I mentioned yesterday, the monitor's not working, so I've got no idea whether you can see that or not. So make shot of the 4 boys, and on the other side, another mug shot with the track listing. We'll play another track from this LP after this track that I've got lined up, and I can't remember what it is.
Riding along in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild, cruising and playing the radio with no particular place to go. Riding along in my automobile, I was anxious to tell her the way I feel. So I told her softly and sincere, and she leaned and whispered in my ear, cuddling more and driving slow, with no particular place to go. Particular place to go. So we parked way out on the Kokomo. The night was young and the moon was gold, so we both decided to take a stroll. Can you imagine the way I felt? I couldn't unfasten a safety belt, riding along in my calaboose, still trying to get her belt to loose. All the way home I held a grudge for the safety belt that wouldn't budge, cruising and playing the radio with no particular place to go.
What you're doing, I'm feeling blue and lonely. Would it be too much to ask of you what you're doing to me? You got me running, and there's no fun in it. Why should it be so much to ask of you what you're doing to me? I've been waiting here for you, wondering what you're gonna do. Should you need a love that's true, it's me. Please got me crying, girl. Why should it be so much to ask of you what you're doing to me? I've been waiting here for you, wondering what you're gonna do. Should you need a love that's true, it's me. Please stop your lying. You got me crying, girl. Why should it be so much to ask of you what you're doing to me? What you're doing to me? What you're doing to me?
The Beatles there from the feature LP, and before that we had Chuck Berry and No Particular Place to Go. Next up we have got, as he frantically tries to remember, it's Sly and the Family Stone and Everyday People.
Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah.
There is a blue one who can't accept the green one for living on the bad one, trying to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
We got to live together. I am no better, and neither are you. We are the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then you can figure out the bag I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah.
There is a long hair that doesn't like a short hair for being such a rich one that will not cut the poor one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
We got to live together.
There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
I am everyday people.
Sly and the Family Stone there, and Everyday People, bringing the time to 8 minutes to 9 o'clock here on Arrow FM. And just another reminder that you want to listen to the shows during the week. You can listen to them anytime you like by downloading the Wairarapa TV app, and you can do it on your smartphone or your iPad, and you'll be able to just get in there and select the show and listen to it whenever you wanted to. You can also see a lot of the shows on Wairarapa TV, proper TV, in under Freeview Channel 41, and you'll be able to look there, see what the schedule is, see when the programs are being broadcast, and you'll be able to watch them there, and also you'll be able to access the shows through our website and also Wairarapa TV's website as well. So the partnership we've got with Toby and Wairarapa TV is really working well just at the moment. Right, next up, and this will be the last song, it's the Tremolos. The Tremolos there, Here Comes My Baby, bringing to a close another edition of the 60s Nostalgia Show, which was first broadcast all over the wonderful Wairarapa on Arrow FM 92.7 and brought to you with a kind sponsorship of Cotter and Stevens, the electrical contractors down in Jellicoe Street in Martinborough.